This next one sent in to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Jesse D. in St. Louis. Can you please tell us all there is to know about the white hat fedora you wore during your time at Jim Crockett Promotions?
Oh, my God.
Did you have more than one? Because the one you're wearing looks like it's swallowing your head. How long did you wear it? Will it make a return for us hardcore fans?
Well, Dusty Rhodes, it was 1986, and I'm going to say it was probably sometime in May, because Dusty wanted to start promoting the Great American Bashes. And that was the first year of the Bashes when we did those big stadiums and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that he wanted to do was he decided to, now there's a heel color commentator on every program, or for quite a while there was on every program, and now there's still on a lot of the programs, there's a heel color guy, right? For a while it became just everywhere. Well, Dusty wanted to put me on color, but he didn't just put me on color, he put me on all the colors. Every time we did syndicated TV, I was going to do color. And on some of the TBS shows, too, because that summer we taped some of the TBS shows in the arenas, right, on the Bash Tour or whatever. But at minimum, it was both NWA Worldwide and NWA Pro. Those were the two syndicated TVs that were on the broadcast stations in the various markets around the country. And actually, those were more important to us at the time than the TBS show, because those are the ones where the local promos played, and we actually sold tickets in the live. TBS was great for making stars across the country, but you couldn't just promote Kansas City off TBS. You had to have TV in Kansas City. And that's where the local promos played and everything. And I'd never done color before. I'd sat in a couple of times in Mid-South just to do a segment, right? I'd never done the whole show. And that's before Jim Ross had come to the NWA. So, not that Tony and David didn't try to tell me anything, but they were not announcing professors like Jim Ross was. Say, okay, this is the role of the play-by-play guy. This is the role of the color guy. He used to say, imagine it's football. When the ball is snapped while it's in play, I'm calling it. But then when the play is over with, then you're the color man. So you will analyze what happened and talk about the effect of it. Well, of course, the football analogy was lost on me because I hadn't seen any more football then than I have now, but I got the fucking gist of it when he explained it like that. But I just went out to be an annoying heel manager on color and take up for the heels and knock the baby faces. So I was not doing good as a color commentator on those shows, but I sure was getting some fucking heat because I was just running my mouth now for the whole fucking hour, right? And Dusty said, with me out there with Big Bubba, he wanted to make my Louisville Slugger interview segment and the whole thing like that. For some reason, he thought Kentucky was full of Southern plantations. I think he had Kentucky where Mississippi was. I said, really, Kentucky in the Civil War, we sympathized with the South. We never seceded, just in case. We kind of picked the winner. But Louisville is more of a Midwestern city than it is deep South. But nevertheless, he had the wicker chair. He had in the early days until like Klondike Bill or whoever loaded the truck forgot to start bringing shit. I'd have a little table sitting next to my wicker chair, like I'm sitting out on the veranda of the plantation. I'd have a big pitcher of iced sweet tea next to me. I said, Bubba, pour me the sweet tea. And I started wearing the fucking flower in the boutonniere and I just went to the store and I got some more colorful shit. And sometimes I wouldn't wear a tie. I'd wear a fucking, like that, what's that old design paisley, shirt, a multicolored shirt. And I saw that hat one day. I said, I don't know if people down south wear these things, but it looks like they oughta. And I just got the fucking hat and I wore that. I was just, being different, doing what Dusty wanted me to do. I was standing out. And for May, June, and July, 3 months on both those syndicated shows and a number of TBS shows, I was on for the whole fucking hour, either doing commentary and still I would do commentary and then I would introduce my men and manage them and then come back to the announce desk. It was goddamn work. And most of those buildings, we were doing TV, those syndicated TVs in high school and college gyms in North and South Carolina around Charlotte within a 2-hour drive for the Nemo truck. And they were all selling out. Be 1,500, 2,000 people crammed in with those TV lights. It was 150 degrees in there. Anybody that's ever been to the old Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium in the summertime when they do TV, or in some of the, the as I said, school gyms around, but they were all sometimes they were selling out in advance. We were so hot at that point. So the local sponsors would literally try to jam as many people as they possibly could in these buildings. And that's why when you look at the heels and baby faces coming to the ring, there's no aisleway. You're just walking through the fucking people most of the time. Or they had a rope stretched from the door to the fucking railing around the ring, and you'd have a 3-foot wide aisleway to come down, and the cops would be in front of you and behind you. They were jammed, but it was such an atmosphere, that you couldn't replicate that, and everybody was into everything. But that's why I was on TV looking like a cross between Foghorn Leghorn and fucking Jed Clampett. Because Dusty wanted me to be like I just came off the Southern Plantation in Louisville with the sweet tea.
How helpful is it to get great crowd reactions to have a hot room as opposed to a cold room?
Oh, you mean temperature-wise?
Yeah.
Well, there's, like everything else, there's limits. In a cold room, like I used to talk about Raleigh, Dorton Arena, that historic building out there at the fairgrounds with all the windows, right? Well, in the summertime, it was 100 and something degrees, and in the wintertime, it was 40. And so you wanted the happy medium, because when people are so cold, like that one time, that Ring of Honor taping we had to do in Bell Vernon, Pennsylvania, where I finally cracked up that night, when it literally was so cold in the building, sitting on an ice floor that they couldn't turn the heat on or they'd melt the skating ice, that the fans never took their coats off, and some of them still even had their gloves on. And the guys, when they'd have a hard enough match, after the match, their shoulders were steaming like the bald-headed football players in Green Bay, right? It was only 40-something degrees in the building. That was hindering the crowd. They were trying, but they couldn't clap with gloves on. It said clunk, clunk, and they were fucking shivering. But if it gets to be 110, 120 degrees. I've been in plenty of fucking wrestling buildings like that. The fans want to like it, but toward the end of the show, they're fucking starting to suffer from heat prostration. I was at a show in Bowling Green, Kentucky one time that was so hot at the National Guard Armory. I was doing the ring announcing, and the place was oversold, and it only hold 1,000 people supposedly, but they got 1,200 in it. And it was so fucking hot that people that didn't have a seat were waiting until the people in the front row kind of keeled over, just couldn't take it anymore, and they'd leave and they'd come in and jump in their chair. If it's so hot that the people are worried about their own fucking, they're getting dizzy, then they can't fully invest in the wrestling matches. So I would say between 75 and 95 is the perfect temperature for a wrestling building. Anything colder kind of takes the edge off, and anything hotter, you're asking the people to fucking put their health in danger to get too wild and crazy.